Hello? Hello, hello? I wanted to record a message for you to help you get settled into this video. Looks like you found the Real Oddity 2024 Halloween special. I know it can be a bit overwhelming, as the animatronics do get a bit quirky at night.
Welcome to a very scary video, everyone. I'm Oddity, and welcome to the channel. Tonight we are going to be going down a very frightening rabbit hole from my childhood. So, Fnaf, a cultural icon that has been around for a decade now. I've been a fan that entire time, and wow did this franchise latch itself onto my brain. The series was like crack to me, spawning a 5-year straight special interest. I was 8 years old when I first got into it, and being 8, I didn't have any money. I watched a bunch of theory videos for a few months, and it really got me wanting to play the games myself. But, well, Fnaf isn't free, except for like one mainline game and 2 spin-offs, but none of those would come out at that point. Because of this, I did what all broke children with a hyperfixation do. Go to the App Store and download some bootlegs. One of the few that I remember playing and actually really enjoying is a series called 5 Nights of Love. 5 Nights of Love, also known as 5 Tries at Love, we'll get into that, was a FNAF dating sim on DeviantArt, Newgrounds, and eventually the App Store. I say it was because not only has the series not been updated since February 2020, but because it ended up being rebranded from a FNAF dating sim to a FNAF-inspired dating sim. 5 Nights of Love, which I'll be shortening to Fnal, started out on DeviantArt by ChibiZ, which I hope I'm saying that correctly. On April 3rd, 2015, the first version of Fnal was posted. According to the description, it was an April Fool's project that just kind of spiraled out of control, which, yeah, I get that. Fnal was soon after put onto the App Store by JC Soft Inc., which was actually just ChibiZ behind it, all on her lonesome. JC Soft actually made a lot of games, from Fnal, its sequel, another FNAF fan game called Jump Scare Factory, and a trilogy of games I call the Can You Escape series, just to name a few. I won't be talking about the Can You Escape series today, but they were pretty popular games for Undertale fans, since it was an Undertale-inspired series. Check back in during the New Year's if you want an extensive Can You Escape retrospective. For now, we return to Fnal. Fnal has changed a bit since its most memorable incarnation. I'll go over the differences in its own section, but for now, I'll mostly be going over the most recent instance of the FNAF animatronics in Fnal. Finally getting into the game itself, we have 5 generations to choose from. Each one was a new update, save for the mystery version. I'll be going over the first generation before circling back to the mystery version later. Starting off the game, we get to name our character while listening to some lovely Kevin MacLeod music. We never get addressed by our names, but it does pop up in our little chat box. Speaking of the little chat box, we get very few visuals outside of the talk sprites and ending animations for the routes. Because of this little chat box explains to us what's going on around us, including the phone call we get. This phone call acts as our tutorial for the game. Our lovely phone friend explains that there are some animatronics wandering around this old dusty pizzeria, and they don't think they're dangerous. They also explain that there are more animatronics that show up later on in the nights, and that we can return to our office once we run out of energy to end the night. Much like FNAF, Fnal has a power energy system. Unlike the original system being used to close doors and power cameras to keep the animatronics away from you, Fnal's power is used to take you to the animatronics. Moving around the map, talking to the animatronics, and sweeping the floor all take energy. You can understand the appeal of moving around the map and talking to the romanceable characters, but sweeping the floor? What's the point of that? Well, money, of course. I guess an ATM machine, like, exploded in these hallways, because you can gather hundreds of dollars when sweeping. What can you use the money for? I'll get into it in a little bit. For now, let's get to the animatronics. Finally. Only almost 900 words in before I get to the main draw of the game. Sorry. Alright, character time. We have 3 main animatronics to choose from. There's Freddy, a gloomy, sad bear boy who feels unappreciated, Foxy, a flirt who speaks exclusively in pickup lines, and Springtrap, a cutesy bunny who loves cupcakes and flowers. Each of them have their own dialogue, endings, and gift items associated with them. This is where the money comes in. We're able to buy said items from a shop, manned by one of the best characters in the franchise, Balloon Boy. He's the 4th animatronic in the pizzeria, and the only reoccurring character. Kinda, we'll get to the other one later. Balloon Boy, or BB/Beebs, will sell a variety of balloons, most of which have a random result. He sells energy balloons, money balloons, and item balloons, which give energy, money, and items respectively, and all operate on an RNG mechanic. The item balloons give us one of 3 items: a pizza, a band-aid, and a flower. BB also sells 2 other balloons, these ones not operating on an RNG mechanic. One of them allows us to unlock the mystery mode that I mentioned earlier. The other unlocks an ending, one of the 2 endings you can get from Balloon Boy. Beeps is actually one of the only 2 characters in the franchise that I know of that have multiple endings associated with them. I'll get to those later though. Alright, now that we know of our cast, let's get to know them a bit better. Starting with Freddy, he's a pretty mopey bear. Despite being the main character of the pizzeria's band, he talks a lot about how unappreciated he feels. He spends his free time alone eating pizza, lamenting about how no one recognizes how sweet and cuddly he is. He enjoys our presence at first, but starts to feel odd around us. He starts to think we're causing his robotics to malfunction. Freddy soon realizes, though, he's fallen for the player, leading to an unintentionally ominous confession. Hey man, you can't just say you've been watching us, it's really weird. He confesses his love for us, leading to one of my favorite FNAF-related gifs ever. Effervescent. Freddy's favorite gift item is pizza, by the way. Next up is Foxy, who's arguably the mascot of the series. Compared to Freddy, there isn't a lot to say. By focusing on being conceptually silly, he sacrifices being an interesting character. It seems likely that he was made when the game was just planned on being an April Fool's project before it got expanded, and as such, he doesn't have a lot of character to him. He is very one-dimensional. The only thing we know about him at first is he wants to be a photographer and has run a marathon before. We do learn later on that this entire flirtatious front is just that, a front. But even after that, the front isn't dropped. First confession, he says a bunch of pickup lines before asking us to marry him. We say yes, and it's shown that after our wedding, we're dead. It's probably meant to imply that Foxy killed us, but I just imagine the dress we were stuffed into was way too tight and just killed us like that. Completely unintentional on Foxy's end. His favorite gift item is a band-aid because he scraped his knee falling for us. He's lucky he's silly, or else I wouldn't care about him at all. Moving on to Springtrap. Similarly to Foxy, he seems very one-dimensional at first. He's very cheerful and cartoonishly sweet. He loves cupcakes and flowers and love itself. He honestly seems just as boring as Foxy. Sorry, Foxy. Until a sudden shift in his demeanor. He starts to get a bit nervous around us. He wonders if we don't believe him. He wonders if we don't trust him. He tells us that if we keep talking, we may not like where we end up. This leads into one of 2 endings, depending on both the version you're playing and on if you gave Springtrap his favorite item, the flower, or not. Both endings start with the same confession. The whole cute act was just that, an act. He's trapped in this miserable place, and he's the one who killed the 5 children. If you gave him the flower, he spares you, for now. This ending was actually added after that rebrand I mentioned earlier. If you didn't give him the flower, well... Honestly, Springtrap went from the character I cared about the least to one of my favorites of this gen through making this video. Sure, it's kind of obvious that the yellow rabbit is OMG evil, but I think it was a cute twist, even if it was really predictable. Now, it's time for the 2 BB endings. He has no character development like Springtrap or Freddy, so we can just jump into his endings. When first seeing Beebs in a room, we have the option to go ahead and buy a balloon, or to just not. If you don't buy his balloons, well... You can tell this game was made during the era of lolXD random, huh? The other ending associated with BB requires sweeping up the halls enough to get $300 for the star balloon. Buying it, it's revealed that the balloon is like a beautification balloon? Plastic surgery balloon? Anime-ification balloon? I don't know, but it does give BB these charming little anime eyes and winning smile grin. He thanks us for making him beautiful again, before giving us one final present. His love. You can really tell this game was made during the era of lolXD random, huh? I'm being silly. I think these 2 endings are rather fun. Especially the romance ending. It's just very silly, and I appreciate it for that. In this first generation of Fnaf, there is only one more ending. If you go the entire game without wooing a single animatronic, you get the beautiful, wondrous, loneliest employee of the month ending. If your boss ever gives you something like this, go to HR. I'm serious. Or as serious as you can be in a video about an old FNAF dating sim. You also get a paycheck of $1.01, which is really funny. Is this just how much our paycheck is? Or could our paycheck have been higher if we started dating one of the children's entertainment robots? What even would be the job description for that? Well, anyways, wowee! Generation 1 sure was neat. I won't be going over all the other generations in the same level of detail, because that would be really boring for you guys to listen to and really boring for me to write. Wish I realized that before I got through another generation and a half of scripting in that level of detail, but whatever, maybe I'll post it on my Ko-fi. This is a good time to mention that all proceeds from my Ko-fi will go either to my dog, some stray cats that I found that I'm helping, or saving up to move out. Alright, so in Generation 2, there's Chica, a strange but well-meaning girl. Bonnie, a bunny with a generic bully personality, and Mangle. Mangle just wants to eat us. Generation 3, also called the Phantom Generation, features 3 new characters. This time, instead of being animatronics, they're phantoms, obviously. There's Phantom Freddy, a sweet amnesiac, Shadow Bonnie, a specter only trying to scare us, and Puppet, a mute yet polite apparition. And finally, Generation 4, the Valentine update. There's Plushtrap, a bit of a little shit honestly, with a really fascinating secret. There's Baby, she honestly reminds me of a generic anime schoolgirl with a yandere twist. And finally, Freddy? Welcome back. Sort of. I actually don't think he's the same Freddy, but to explain that, I have to explain... Alright, I've been dancing around it, but I can't talk about Fnaf without talking about the rebranding. In October 2015, I think it's kind of hard to find any definitive information, even with all the research I did, JC Soft decided to rebrand Fnaf from a Fnaf game to simply a Fnaf-inspired game. Freddy was changed to Teddy, Foxy to Roxy, Springtrap to just Spring. All of them were changed. Alongside this, the name of the game was even changed. It went from Five Nights of Love to Five Tries at Love. Fnaf to Fatal? This is why I think the two Freddys, now Teddys, are different characters. Different fur, different demeanor, different gen, only similarities are name and species that they're based off of. This is also when the Mercy Springtrap ending was added too, or, well, I guess just the Spring ending now. To my knowledge, he's the only main character who was given an additional ending after the rebrand, along with one of the only changes to the characters outside of the names and designs at all. Not even BB counts, because he was given his romance ending in the second generation before the rebrand. That's why I felt like keeping that ending with Springtrap even if it wasn't added until after he became Spring. Just easier to explain. For previously unknown reasons, this rebrand happened. This change happened before the third generation came out. The following two generations still featured FNAF lookalikes, so for a while I thought it seemed like maybe some sort of legal issue happened and JC Soft had to change the likeness of the characters. That doesn't make any sense though. As flawed as he is, Scott Cawthon isn't known for striking down fan games. Hell, he even created and funded the Fazbear Fanverse, an initiative that gives monetary backing to a handful of creators who make FNAF fan games. So I did some digging and I found her, the creator of Fnaf, the Can You Escape series, and Penguin Dodge also. Jenny Shu is the creator of a multitude of games. She has a ton of Flash games I didn't even touch on under her belt, and is in the gaming industry today. She's even the CEO of a studio. I decided to message her and ask a little bit about Fnaf's rebranding, and she actually got back to me. Hey there, thanks for playing my game. We wanted to make them more original in design and branched out to more of our own stuff. Oh. The 9-year mystery of why did Fnaf rebrand that I think I was the only person asking has finally been answered. Jenny, she just felt like changing it for funsies. Before wrapping up this video, we have one loose end. We need to go buy the mystery balloon from Beebs. And now, we're finally able to access the mystery version. And it's literally just Generation 1 with clown masks on the animatronics and a couple dialogue lines about them being clowns. I was actually planning on covering the Fnaf sequel in this video as well, Five Nights of Love Jumpscare Academy, but, maybe I ran out of time by accident. Sorry, my bad. To make it up to you, dear viewers, I will be making a sequel video to this that is entirely focused on Five Nights of Love Jumpscare Academy. It'll be up sometime soon, probably December because it'll be on theme for that game. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit shorter than I was anticipating due to cutting some fluff and also the entire sequel, but I think it worked in favor of this video's quality. I also do want to apologize that I held off on recording this video so long that I do not have a choice but to record it today, and today is the day that I got a little bit sick, so if I sound a little worse than usual, that's why. I'll be posting the Fnaf 2 video in late December, and the video on the Can You Escape series in late January. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun to make. I plan on doing more videos that require a lot of digging and asking people things, because it's a lot of fun. I feel like an archaeologist, but instead of finding bones, I'm finding niche fandom content. Anyways, that's enough yapping. I really do hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye!